Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
This is episode 256 of our podcast. Yep.
And Justin's got something on his mind.
No, I was trying to think, is 256 anything? But no, it's 356 that matters.
Why 356?
Isn't that how many days are in a year?
365.
Okay. All right. Well,
just
256
around the river bend.
I'm a little bit drugged up. Yeah, welcome. Big shout out to all of our patrons, everybody who supports the podcast, everybody who resubbed up this week, and also to Cynicasm for joining our Patreon this week. Thank you so much. We love your faces. And big shout out to EJ for the donation, which is going to come, well, a little bit more detail about that later. But thank you for the donation towards the private league, which we're going to be chatting about because our private league is coming. So thank you, everybody. Patreon gets you access after the podcast, where we continue to talk about things and stuff. And it's more of us, which thank you to the people who join us on that. How are you, Ty? How's your week?
Doing well. Yeah. I what was it that I was going to bring up? Because we have a private league coming up, and
yeah, we're going to chat about that.
Bring that up.
I apologize.
You're good.
Okay, so back to my question. How was your week? I think you were about to talk about Reddit. I thought I heard you over.
Yeah, I don't remember why though. And I think I remember not remembering why.
You were thinking about something, then you thought of it just as I got a phone call. And normally I would keep my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I can't today. So,
you expecting more calls?
It's possible. Yep.
Sweet.
Shit going on. Anyway, so how's your week? Otherwise, or do you have Reddit again?
Well, I forget. I'm going to start saying why, because there's a segue that I forgot here that leads into the private league, but I forget why. But I made a post to Jonathan on the Path of Exile to Reddit, right?
Yeah.
What's his name? Negative frags or something like that.
Okay.
And it was a reply to my post about my complaint about how minions work in Path of Exile 1, and how then of course so many of those issues that I brought up, well, maybe all of them, were addressed in the playtest that we went to in the summer. And so I replied to that, and then I added him, right? You/him to just say, hey, like, listen, this was really cool, the experience and seeing how it was implemented. I think you guys did a great job. I can't remember if I'd said that or not. And all it was like, I think you guys have done a great job with minions at the play test that I went to. Almost every reader that reads that will have no experience with playing the minion play style, because there's been two now, like the one that we went to in LA, and then the event that people have got to go to in Germany, where
people can go to, like the PAXs and the
but all the minions have only been available since 4 hours.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Then this one in Germany, almost nobody's had the experience that we've had, and it gets downvoted. So that there's just a couple of those dumb haters that just follow us. Well, whatever it is, whether it's us or me specifically, whatever it was. And I was really hoping that while saying that would remind me why I wanted to bring it up coming up to the private league. Oh, right. Because we're coming up with our private league, and we are happy now. I think we've kind of come up with a little standard way to do prizes, so unless Justin gets like an itch because he feels like changing things up. I think we've kind of come up with a nice way to pardon the interruption. No, it's all good. My kids today's Friday, but we're pretending it's Saturday. We're going to have a busier day tomorrow, so they have all their chores they need to get done today. And so they were just asking how much longer they're allowed to watch TV before they have to start chores.
Cool. So,
so anyway, but we kind of come up with a reward system that we like, right? Going forward. And we think it's fun.
Lottery system.
Yeah, just a small little lottery system.
We'll talk about it when we talk about the private league, but
yeah, and we'll get into that right away. But it was just, I was thinking about that because now maybe those haters that just hate us for whatever reason that they hate us, because we talk or have normal life conversations, whatever the hateful reason is, I always picture that it's the same people that would join our private leagues and try and like take away those rewards for the community. You know what I mean? But
which we haven't had in a long time since we've done some changes.
No,
but yes, we did have that early.
We did. Yeah. And maybe we've had that in who knows. But anyway, the rewards are now small enough that even haters won't care.
And everything's not totally random, but very relatively random, which I like. Just play random. The league, have fun time, and maybe you'll get something out of it. You'll get joy no matter what. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We give out joy.
Well, no, that's not. No. Justin and I will have joy because, as usual, it's a hardcore league, which we hate.
Yeah,
but we're
have
hoping
joy
you also hate, and then we hope that you die lots. But die
we
just
have to
at
die
that
too, and then that we lose joy. But then we get to watch others die, so then there's joy. So it's a wash in the end.
No, it's a little bit better for me. Like, I still have to go through the experience that I don't really like, but I get more joy out of seeing other people get frustrated.
It's fun to play with everybody.
It is. Yeah, it is a lot of fun, as much as we joke about hating it. But yeah, so our private league, oh, dang, I don't have the dates up. Hang on.
That's fine. We're not talking about it yet. How was your week? That's what I'm trying to ask you, how your week was. I'm moving your private league way down here.
No, I just moved. How was your week up? Get out of here. Don't you ever.
I'm touching Tyler's cars.
Don't touch my stuff.
Don't touch his stuff.
My week was fine, man. Yeah, I was taking care of the lawn, taking care of the garden. Things are looking good. I'm nice. The grass still hasn't grown into any bare spots, but the grass is nice and thick.
We had such weird weather. Like it went through crazy rain, and now we're back to sun.
All the bare spots are still just as bare. All the grass wants to grow into my garden.
Yeah,
it does not want to grow into the grass.
You're probably only a couple weeks away if you wanted to do some overseeding. Like as we get into September, I feel like we're going to start to cool down pretty quick.
Yeah, but I think we will. And it's also going to be
fixing your...
I want to get the blinds up. I figure if the sun's going to shine in my face so bright that you're not going to see my face, I may as well see the sun myself.
May as well enjoy it. Right.
Yeah. So, but no, like yard's been a lot of fun to maintain. It's been really good. The system that I put in place now is starting to kind of follow through. So it's really not a lot of work for what it is. And I'm really enjoying it. And the weather's been fantastic. It hasn't been too hot. It's been really, really nice.
It's
and
nice.
The kids and I have been able to spend a lot of time together, and my wife hasn't murdered me yet, so
it's always a
things
plus.
are up and up, right? So things are doing well. Life is good in the Tyler house.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. My wife hasn't found out about any girlfriends yet, or boyfriends. Just all of it. She's an idiot. No, we're all good here. We're all good. How about you? How was your week?
My week was good. I'm really having my back is an absolute it's a cover your ears, but asshole. It's like I can have days where it's really good, and then like today, my whole right leg is numb. Like I'm in a lot of pain today, so I'm pretty heavily drugged. And then my pregabalin, which is a nerve blocker, the prescription was bumped up this week, so that kicks me in the balls for like 2 or 3 days typically before I can actually function properly again. So yeah,
physically or mentally, you seem foggy. Is that the pregabalin?
No, right now it's all the other drugs. The pregabalin's actually, it just makes me tired. It also blurs your vision. So for the first couple of days when I have it, it's annoying because my vision's not like super great. Right now, it's just the other stuff I took to try and deal with the pain, because the pregabalin is, I don't really get it. I don't understand it. It's a nerve blocker. Like, can't you just shut off all my nerves from feeling anything?
Yeah,
that's what I would have thought.
That's right. Yep. You stepping on nails and you're just like, today is a great day.
Yeah. I met with my doctor and my chiro this week about some of the options that I'd gotten back from these overseas places regarding my back. My chiropractor is doing a lot for me. So he's working with a guy that works with the Canucks. He's reviewing my case right now and talking to a neurosurgeon out in Vancouver to see what some of my options might be. Because my feeling is just like, let me pay somebody to take care of this. But the lovely NDP in BC have said that that's not allowed. It's not fair. So we're trying to find ways around that. So Yeah.
Well, we could have an election as early as this.
Yeah, they were so close. I didn't realize how close it was like 5-6 years ago to actually, because we're literally the only province in Canada that's like this. But because of our government making this change, the governments in the other provinces have had to stop out of province care. So they can't take like BC residents because their system is actually pretty cool. So they have private and public, but the public
Which system.
So let's take Alberta, for example, their medical system.
Alberta.
Yeah, it's the same in Ontario, but their public sector flows over to the private. So let's say the public sector is getting too busy. The private has to take some of that public work.
Okay.
I think that's a good system.
And then it's the province that pays for what the private cost would have been.
Mm-hmm.
That gets very expensive for the province, but that does obviously help.
No. It's still the same. That's part of what you're taking on by being a private person. You are going to have to deal with that overflow.
You have that understanding.
They have certain amounts of days too that they have to cover within the public sector as well. So I feel like that's a better system. But because of that, their overflow was becoming too large with BC residents trying to go to Alberta or to Ontario to do private work, and so then there wasn't enough space for their overflow to get into these private places. So they've stopped allowing out of province people to come into it. So it's kind of weird that I can get into the States, but I can't get into another province within Canada. Like that just seems silly, but it is what it is. But yeah, otherwise I went out with you this week. That was fun. You and I went out in one of the evenings and just chatted for a bit. And then I went out the next night with some of our other buddies, and Chris brought his daughter. I brought Christina, and we went out, had dinner. So that was fun.
Oh, cool. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, your kids.
And then otherwise, yeah, my kids are gone. They don't come back till Monday. So they're having a blast. I saw some videos of them swimming. It was funny actually. So last night I went out with Christina, and we went out to Winners. We're shopping at Winners, just walking around. And two things happened while I was there that were funny. One, she's not going to like me sharing, but the first one was I'm walking around. I get a message on Messenger on Facebook, which I don't even I don't think I ever opened that. In fact, when I opened it, all of a sudden I got so many notifications. Like Christine's like, "What's happening to your phone?" I'm like, "I've never opened this app." And all of a sudden, all the old messages that I've always ignored, but this one came from a friend, and so I somehow got notified about it. But a girl that we went to high school, I'm not going to say the last name, but Christy. And you might remember a girl named Christy that when we went to high school with. You would have known her actually better than I would, because I think you actually went to elementary school with her too. Just so happens she bought a place in Harrison, and she's out there this week, and her daughters have become best friends with my daughters. She loves my girls, and she had my girls at her place having a little fire schmore camping thing, cool. Which is really funny. And it's just the way that they found out. I guess they just got talking, and my girl said that their mom's name is similar to her name. And then she asked, "Oh, what's your dad's name?" They said Justin. And then they started talking about their brothers, and they said Ethan. And somehow she put that 2 and 2 together without like a last name or anything. And so, yeah, that was funny. But then also when we went to check out at Winners, because I don't think we've ever walked in there and walked out with nothing, very rarely. The lady at the till goes, "Oh, you must have a loyalty card," as I'm like, whatever, I'm going to be paying. And before I even got a chance to say no, because she wasn't even looking at me, she was looking at Christina. Before I got a chance to say no, Christina's like, "No." And the lady smiles and she's like, "Well, you're definitely one of the loyal ones." And I'm like, "Huh?" And this lady recognized Christina from how often she shops. That's hilarious. And she's like, "I didn't recognize you," saying that to me. And I'm like, "No, you wouldn't." But right. Apparently my wife
is so busy on Facebook Messenger.
That's right. My wife is a frequent shopper, apparently. So yeah, the week was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, whatever. There's some, I'm dealing with some pain stuff, but overall life is good. Everybody's healthy. Kids are healthy. So that makes me happy. And work's been awesome. I'm really enjoying work right now, which is nice. So
good. You went through a long
season
of
period.
Yeah, it was a long season of difficulty at work. So I'm really glad to hear that.
Some tough stuff, but everything's good now. And so I'm really enjoying it. It's very busy, but I like being busy. So.
Boss of the year, Justin. That's you. I'll get you a mug.
It's been fun.
Go to London Drugs, print a mug.
Yeah, go to London Drugs. But otherwise, that's it. Good week overall. Let's talk about the private league. We have our private league coming up, which if you're a Patreon, You would have heard about us just randomly deciding to come up with this in After Dark, not even drunk. That was
that was the thing.
Justin,
just a very sober Justin was like that spontaneous.
I don't remember how it came up. I'd have to re-listen back, but I never ever do. But yeah, our private league, it's going to be starting September 13th is the start. September 13th at 9:03 a.m. Standard Pacific time. So whatever that is on your time, it will show in Discord. If you are in Discord, all the information's in our announcement. Is it in the announcement one? Yeah, announcement chat. And so Tyler is talking to his son. I don't know if he can hear me, but I think everybody in the private league should make a name that mocks him or me. Something about WOD. That would be awesome. When you play, make a name about WOD. I don't think he can hear me. Okay, we're back.
Don't start video games though until Violet's done.
So it starts September 13th, 9:03 a.m.
What are we talking about?
We got a private league. It's in the announcement channel. Announcement channel.
Yes.
In,
that's
Discord.
what you were. Yes.
It does show your standard time because we used the magic of some super duper code that someone provided to us. It probably fell a long time ago. So we do have private league starting. It's going to be fun. No craziness besides solo self-found hardcore and settlers. So it should be fun. That's where, if you want to play, that's where you got to go.
Usual.
We always post it in announcements. So.
Yeah, and the awards are posted there too. And we had a few people this league ask about if they could add some donations or rewards and come up with their own little lottery system as well. We have our own lottery system, and you can read about what that entails. It's very simple, but you can read about that in the announcement page. But just so you're aware, Justin and I decided to go living and dead this time for our lottery system. So you don't have to have a living character. Yep. You can push until you're dead, and that's fine. I mean, you're still a loser if you die, but you can do that. But so a few people were asking if they could do their own lottery system.
Which we've had people ask about that in the past, and we've always just said no. But we found a way to make it work.
That's right. So Justin and I would kind of, because you'd be surprised how many little nuances and issues can come up with there being just with the details. There could be a few extra things that come up with multiple people giving rewards and this and that. And so Justin and I came up, I know it sounds silly, but we kind of came up with a small little rule set for if you do want to do something within the private league, have your own little lottery, no problem. That is also in the announcement section, and you can. I mean, when Justin and I know anytime on Discord, and we can go from there. It's no problem. So thank you, EJ. EJ's already gone through the process and has set up their own lottery system as well. So thank you very much, EJ, for those donations.
Yeah, the main thing is just that they have to be something that's easily manageable. Some of the times in the past, we've had people come up with very, very fun ideas, very cool things that we could maybe do, but they require a lot of work on our end to try and manage it. And Tyler and I are simple people, and
we're also not online very often, so it needs to be trackable. Post league,
that's right.
I have D&D on my phone set up. No, I have D&D, so that means it's my wife. She's either telling me she desperately wants me and can't wait to come home,
or are we having tacos tonight?
Or she just gave me a thumbs up for one of my messages asking her to do something non-work related while she's at work.
The thumbs up response is always like right. You can't tell if it's a thumbs up or a middle finger, because I could go either way sometimes when I send a thumbs up.
It's a middle finger is what you do a thing where you have that, you really like that emoticon where it's like it's the winky face
with the tongue out. It's my favorite.
That is the exact same thing as a middle finger. Every time.
I like it because I don't know what it means. I don't really know.
Everyone else knows exactly what that is. That's like, that's a middle finger. That's like, or you could try this, and then you have like the winky face with the tongue sticking out, and it's like, F you, buddy. Just say it, okay? Just say it.
That's awesome.
But no, anyway, so we're excited for the private league, but what day does that start? What
September
we say?
13th. September 13th, so a couple weeks from now.
September 13th. Yeah.
You can find the information. You do have to be on Discord to get the information for it, and the link is in announcements. And the only reason we keep it on Discord is just because we don't want. It's a community thing, so it's not that you have to be a part of Discord or be active. You can even leave later, but that's where we know people are are getting it as part of our community. So
and it's the easiest place. It's the only other place that we can post stuff outside of our website. So may as well do it on Discord.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be fun. Good luck to everybody, and join up. We'll see you in Global 2121.
Yeah. Oh, and just a reminder, with our guild stash, whether it's private league or just while you're hanging out with our
guild stash, but sorry, go ahead.
Right, yeah, because it's Soul self-found. But just as a reminder, while you're playing through for this league, whatever other league, the guild stash that we have is for everybody. Take what you need when you need it. But just as a reminder, it's... Well, even if you don't put stuff back, I mean, sure, it's always nice to contribute, but it's not your personal stash.
Yeah.
Right? So if you need leveling uniques, awesome. Take them. Take them all. And then when you're not... I think my wife just gave me another thumbs up, so I'm just going to look at it later.
Awesome.
And then when you're finished leveling, you know, put it back or whatever. Or if you have that one unique that you really need for your build, okay, take it. You don't have to pay it back. That's fine. But just keep in mind, it's not your personal stash. So if you have a recipe where you need a whole bunch of breach rings or a whole bunch of unique rings or a whole bunch of something, you fulfill your, you know, vendor recipes, for example, on your own with your own merit. The stash is there for everybody. It's not there to fulfill things like recipes. So same kind of thing with your maps and your T16, T17 maps. If you need maps for completion, awesome. If you want every single T16 because sustainability has been hard, earn it yourself.
Yeah, it's a sharing
just a reminder.
Thing. Yeah. Sharing is caring. It's a whole guild. It's a whole group of people, and we try not to police anything. So
yeah. So just please do it.
Don't be a dick. It's the main rule for everything we're on. Discord, guild, everything.
Also, happy announcement birthday, Path of Exile, or GGG. 14 years ago, September 1st, so 2010, Path of Exile was officially announced.
Aw. Fun.
When Bex used to work at GGG, she would send out these little like tweets about like happy anniversary GGG for this. And they would always be a few days off from mine, but I was pretty sure that I was pretty accurate with all of my research that I had done with all the different anniversaries and special dates they had. So I can't remember if this was one of them. But
you're like, are you sure?
Yeah. Lady, I have resources. Okay. Anyway, September 1st, 2010. PoE officially announced. It has now been 14 years.
Well, hey, I was going to tell you when we were talking about our weeks, my kid is in New York. I've never even been to New York. Ethan's in New York right now.
Wow. What's he doing in New York?
He just went with Matthew to visit a friend.
State or city? Probably city.
New York City, yeah. Wait, are they the same? Is New York City in New York State? It's got to be right.
And it's not even the capital of New York State.
Get out, really? What is?
Yeah.
Albany. How do you know this? What is?
Pretty sure it's Albany.
Albany.
Oh, dang it. Now I have to look it up because now all of our American people are like, you don't even know.
So well, I'll tell you, I don't know. I 100% don't know. I just asked you if New York is a state and a city. So
yes, state. And then the capital's Albany. Look at me knowing stuff.
You did it.
Wow,
Good
20 million people in that state. And they're all in like 3 blocks. No, just kidding.
Well, anyway, yeah, it's cool. He's there. He's in New York just visiting, and I was like, oh man, I haven't even been there before. So
pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was messaging us some stuff that he was doing. It looked really fun. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Awesome.
Back to what are we on to? Path of Exile now?
Yeah, this week in PoE. Nothing happened this week in PoE land. That's microtransactions, a couple patches, and then they had a video that came out, and there's been a whole bunch of videos in the community that have come out because they had, what's it called? Gamescom, I think it had that in Germany.
Yeah, in Germany, yeah.
And so PoE had, or GGG themselves put out a video where it was the, like, how bosses are made. It was a pre-done video, but that actually might have been last week.
So that video came out 6 days ago, so we wouldn't have talked about it yet.
Oh, maybe we talked about it in After Dark then. I don't know. I feel like we already had that conversation, but either way, just in case we didn't, you're welcome. And it was really cool. It was one of those pre-made videos that GGG does where they have people sitting on the couch talking about stuff and they show some gameplay. And so, but it was really neat. And it was, there were some pretty cool comments in there, that Mark made for things like they're not reusing any assets for any of their boss battles. Right now, people are trying to be really finicky and checking things out. You know, with every single video, they pause the video, they look at stuff, and they're trying to figure things out. And Octavian's come out a couple times. He said this to us in our interviews, and then he's also said this to us at the play test. But he's tweeted a couple times saying like, "Hey, listen, we've copied a lot of Path of Exile 1 into the Path of Exile 2 demos just for functionality." I'm paraphrasing substantially, but it's basically we've copied a whole bunch of their code from PoE 1 into PoE 2 for the sake of functionality. Currently, don't look too into a lot of these copy and paste things that we've done.
Are they saying
sorry to ruin the whole sleuthing aspect?
Are they saying? Hold on, I want to ask you a question. Are they saying that no bosses are duplicates in Path of Exile 2?
So that's right. Yeah. So that point was to emphasize what Mark was going to say, that no bosses in Path of Exile 2, they're all original content, all original assets. Nothing is being
maps. Like,
well, he's talking about every boss encounter. Every single boss encounter was created from the ground up.
Oh, okay,
none of it is a copy from Path of Exile 2, and none of it is like, even if you have bosses that might look similar, none of them are copies from each other. Every boss, no matter what you think of them, has been made from the ground up. Everything from sound to boss moves, animations, just the base skeleton that they use. So that's really cool. I really appreciate that, because those are the kind of comments where you always can naturally or confidently take them further. You know what I mean? Well, okay, so they're doing this for boss battles. That's awesome. But we've noticed with the stuff that they used to be sticks in the mud about with Path of Exile 1, how free and willing they are to reconsider so many things. And sure, maybe we've criticized them a little bit for how often they've changed their mind, but we're also very proud of them for being willing to change their mind and starting from the ground up and just making the game the way that they want to. And so when you have a game that boasts how many bosses there are to interact with, and they're all made from the ground up, it kind of gives you the encouragement that so many other aspects of the game are also made from the ground up.
Remember how many bosses they said there were going to be?
Well, there's going to be over 100 endgame bosses, which is obviously going to expand, but you have over 100 within the campaign as well. So you're looking at 200 now already, right? Now, sorry, I should rephrase. Jonathan, in one of his videos, so I was going to say, because they had GamesCon, it's a similar thing to what they did with the playtest and with your other playtests, where they give people their own individual videos and content to put out, right? GGG is not going to post it, and every other content creator can put it out. So I watched the one from a few people. Catmaster was one of them, and Jonathan, I think it was in the Catmaster one, said that the bosses are from the campaign are also going to be end game bosses, so like map bosses, so similar to what we currently have. So in that regards, I guess they're going to be reused, but the boss itself, the actual fight itself, right? But you're still looking at over 100 bosses.
That's cool.
Oh, of course, like that's huge. Honestly, even if they reused assets, not like a gamer wouldn't care.
I don't care. Just make it fun,
right?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then they talked about emphasizing the need for not needing every detail in the game, which kind of makes me nervous. Right. But not as nervous as it used to be. So when we went to the playtest, we saw that they had the amazing detailed information available in game, and you could kind of go down like a wiki tunnel or a wiki hole, and you could click on stun. Right. And then it explains to you what stun is. And then you could click on another tag word, whether it's melee or weapon or whatever. And, you could just keep, and there was a lot of in-game information. One thing they're really trying to keep clean is visual clarity for Path of Exile 2. They've emphasized this a lot. And so there's some things that are very important to know, no matter how clunky it looks. But then there's also other things, for example, tells.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm just stretching my leg. It really hurts. Sorry. If I look like I'm straining or pooping, it
looks like you're trying not to poop.
Yeah, it just hurts. Go on. Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, you're good. And so it's just one of those things where they're trying to keep boss fights clean. So they emphasized a lot about tells. Right. We're not going to make the tells are obvious, but it doesn't interrupt gameplay in a comedic sense. Then they talked about the types of elements that you could be inflicted with, and that will be very obvious within the game based on
like the poison,
different elements that are available. And so that was really neat. Yeah, that was really cool. And this is a total side note, but this came from the Catmaster thing. I missed Catmaster knew this from somewhere, so I don't know where it came from. But in this video, it was emphasized that there's no longer, when it comes to defenses, currently anyway, I mean, they've changed their mind quite a lot on a lot of different things. There's not going to be a difference between blocking attacks and spells anymore. It's just blocking types of damage, like a certain type of element or physical or things like that. So there's no longer a specific, you're not blocking attacks or spells specifically.
Okay, hold on. But
blocking it, sorry, not in a general term. I mean, like mitigating. So evasion's changing something, like they're going to have to change the definition of that. But yes, so that was something that I found very interesting from that conversation that they had.
But so are we talking specifically block, like I got a shield and I'm blocking physical or spell damage currently, or what are we talking about?
No, I think it was just in general. The game itself no longer requires the user to consider if the enemy is using an attack or a spell. Now it's about it's tough to describe, but like it's no longer about, it's just about the type of damage, whether it's a certain type of element, chaos, or physical. Sure, maybe they're adding holy damage or whatever, like they could add other styles of elements, but it's not going to be about how that damage is applied.
Is the idea to make block more universal? So block is block and it's doing against everything, or are you now having to be more specific about what you're trying to block? Sorry, I'm not understanding.
No, it's okay. I incorrectly used block ahead of time. Block, okay. I was using in a general term, not the specific PoE set. So I meant it more as a mitigation. Now the user only needs to worry about the mitigation. How block is going to work, I don't know. I also don't think they know, because the ability to manually block is something that they've done very new. There's still going to be the automatic mathematical block stat, apparently, but they've added also the ability to manually block. Right. And so if that's staying or how that's going to work and how it's going to be different, I don't know. It would be cool if block chance just blocked hits. You didn't have to worry about attack or spell. And so they just made, the ability to cap your block, maybe those modifiers or what you would get from the tree, wherever it's going to come from. If they made that much more difficult to get, or maybe they change how block works and how it completely mitigates damage or how much it mitigates. I don't know. But anyway, point is that was a really, exactly. And that was a really cool thing to discover from that chit chat as well.
Cool.
There wasn't a boss design video that was. Yeah, it was just for this one. It was specifically the Catmaster video that he had. He had 20 minutes with Jonathan to play and chat and ask questions, and it was really well done. I let Catmaster know, and I think it was YouTube, that the questions were really well done. All the questions were things that I was really interested in.
Awesome.
Actually, can I throw in one more thing that I learned from that? I think I sent it to you, buddy. But I don't remember exactly how it was in our playtest, because it wasn't really explained in our playtest. But now socket colors and links, they're all white. I don't know if the original link, the original socket color is colored or not, or if that's going to be white. But now all the support gems are white. And you don't have to worry about using something like a chromatic orb to color all the support gem colors. They're just all going to be white. But what determines your restrictions on how many red support gems or green support gems or blue support gems you can use, that's determined by your attribute points. So if you have, let's say, I don't know what the values are going to be, but let's say you only have 35 decks, well, you're only going to be able to use maybe 1 or 2 green support gems. But if you have 200 decks, I don't know, maybe you'll be able to use 20 green support gems. So I thought that was interesting. And Jonathan was also saying that, remember when we were using at the playtest, the travel nodes were all attributes, but it was a drop down list and you could choose which attribute you wanted. So now typically the attribute travel points, they're 10 points per attribute, but they're predetermined. In the playtest, they were 5, but you could choose which attribute they were. Still, from the video that Catmaster was using, that's still the same thing. But Jonathan was saying you can respec those travel points at any time without them costing you anything.
So change the drop down.
If you want to change what your attributes are on the tree, you can do that without using any type of currency or gold or anything like that.
That's cool because you're not really
Yeah.
unspecking the point. You're just, I guess, changing the drop down option. I like that they're doing that.
Yeah, it's really cool. You get some
Imagine
gloves
if you
with
had to
50 deck.
unspec to get to that point.
Right? Yeah. No, but there's
cool.
just so
I
many
like
really
that.
cool things that are coming from these ideas, and they're exciting for me to hear. I know we're kind of exhausted with the PoE2 conversation, but then
We're getting close.
I hear new
now.
details, and I'm just like, that's
it is what it is.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then, like, yeah, it's cool to discover at the time, but at the same time, it's exciting to know ahead of time. So those are some details that I learned this week, not just from that boss video, but other videos. And so I know everybody else is more well versed in it because you and I don't go looking for PoE2 information, but this fell into my lap and I got excited about
Are
it.
they doing packs again too, right?
Yeah, they're coming to PAX as well. Yeah.
Cool.
And then the Matt, who does the lore for GGG, came out with a little bit of an explanation as to how the amalgamation of Kalguur or Kalguur and the NPCs that were used and why, and how the dynamic and conversations worked or what they wanted to work. So that was an interesting post. Nice and short. Good read.
Mm-hmm.
Did you end up playing this week?
No.
Or are you on to WoW now?
I'm playing a little bit of WoW. Sorry, I'm just marking a cough. I just haven't had a whole lot of time, but the time that I have played in the evenings, I've been playing WoW. Yeah, just getting back into. I paid for a month, so I gotta play for, a month. I don't know that I'll keep going with it, but yeah, it's been fun. But no, I haven't played. How about you?
Good. Oh yeah, I've been actually really into it this league. A lot of it's been theory crafting because. Well, actually, let me ask you this. Let me ask it before I get into my league. Val's asked us a question this week, and it's an important question, Justin. It's an important question. Would you rather fight 100 Roa-sized Kitavas or 1 Kitava-sized Roa?
Oh, I saw this question because I asked if it had phases. Does the Roa get the Kitava phases where it's immune? Yeah. And I don't remember what the answer was.
The response was Kitava's Kitava.
What does that mean?
You get the phases. If you're fighting Kitava, you get the phases.
I would fight 1 Roa for sure. I can dodge like a pro.
Word.
I don't want to fight 100 freaking Kitavas, right? 100
100 Roa-sized
out of here.
Kitavas.
I would lose my freaking mind. I'd be there for an hour trying to get them all to phase. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I would do the same. I would do the Kitava-sized Roa. We also almost have that in the which map is that?
Yeah, where you can make it a bog.
There's the big Roa, and then there's 3 nests that you click bog. To enrage it.
Or not bog, it's like bog though. But yes, you can click click the 3 things.
Yep.
It used to be a different map. I can't remember what it's called, but
if you get Soul Eater.
Oh yeah, you're dead.
Then right.
Or you roll it where it's got like tormented. Where it's like, what's the thing?
I used to do Tormented a lot, and that's what I actually really like that map, and I enjoy that boss fight.
But you don't know. Well, I guess in your case, if you are rolling that the boss does it, but sometimes you don't know, and you have to click those nests before you get to the boss. I don't know if you can click the nests after you activate the boss. I don't think you can. I don't
know how that works, but you always click it before anyway. And so just imagine that Roa, double size.
I'll take it. I can dodge.
Yep.
I dodge.
Easy, right?
I move.
Who needs dodge roll? We'll just dodge anyway.
Nah, I just
move
to the left.
To the left.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those are fun, actually. So people should do more Would You Rathers. Just fill up the whole episode with that.
That's right. We'll call this episode those episodes Would You Rather episode 1, Would You Rather episode 2.
PoE related Would You Rathers. Let's just do that.
That's right. I discovered a mod this week. I don't know how common it is, but I didn't quite understand what it meant because suppress is a specific term. So this was an enemy mod I saw on an enemy that was taking a while to die. Heals allies. Okay, I get that. Don't know how often or if it's a spell or if it's regen, whatever, but heals allies and suppresses foe recovery.
So suppresses your recovery?
Right, but I get what suppress means in a general term.
Yeah, I don't
suppression is a very specific.
Does it mean you recover less? I don't actually know what that means either.
Right, like because they have terms that could make that just like if I was just recovering less, it would be like foes recover. I don't know. Suppress isn't the right word. for
suppress
less.
is a bit odd because are you using it in the PoE sense where now I get 50% less recovery, or what? To me, suppress is like, it's weird to me that suppress is baseline 50%. I find that odd because to me, suppress is you literally stop something. So I don't really understand like suppression in general.
To me, I get the squeeze idea in my head, like suppressing it, or like no, and so it's like tiny but still getting
compressing though.
That's the same thing.
Well, I don't think so, but anyway, I don't know what that means either. It means just kill it faster. That's all.
Yeah. Well,
a lot of their mods nowadays are like, I mean, we've talked about this before anyway, but just Path of Exile. Thumbs up from Ty's wife.
All right, I'm gonna go check. That's two thumbs ups that I've ignored now.
Yeah, You're gonna get in trouble.
Oh,
you're in trouble.
Nope. She says, "Okay, thanks," to one of the 10 messages that I sent. Not sure which. And then, "This is amazing. Please do this at Tim Hortons next. LOL." And it's an Instagram link.
That's awesome.
Personal requests.
Sorry, we were, but with regards to PoE 1,
suppressing full recovery.
It'll be interesting to see how they go forward with PoE 2, but PoE 1 is very much now a game where you just need to do damage fast. It's very much a speed game. It's not built well for a slow paced defense first build. It just their game just does not work well with that. It's too bad, but it is what it is. So we'll see where they go with PoE 2.
Yeah, I am excited for PoE 2. I do think they have a good mentality going forward. So hopefully that gets applied into the game with all the final decision making. One thing that the pros and cons to having one person that can finalize everything, right? When you have a board, you get a little bit more balanced perspective, but it can also be swayed by other things. You look at a company like Blizzard, right? Making things for the masses. Whereas one of the benefits of having one person like Jonathan, for example, in charge of Path of Exile 2 is, yeah, you get all the feedback, but at the end of the day, it's like, no, this is just what I want. And it gets done. And so then that works out really well if, as a fan, the individual in charge also wants the same things that fan does. Obviously, that's not every fan, right? But
I think having Mark as a big voice is a big boon to PoE players. He is a very, very smart Path of Exile player. Like he plays the game a lot. So having somebody like him really high up, I think I think that can only be a good thing. It's funny. We were just talking about defense first. And I'm going to relate this back to WoW for a minute. I was talking with Nathan a couple nights ago, and so I play a Death Knight. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. I play a Death Knight. I don't know any of the things. That's why. But it's a blood spec. So you can play blood, unholy, or frost. I play blood, which means you're a tank. You're very, very heavy on defense and you tank everything. I like that. But I also have a massive axe. So of course,
obviously,
that's the way I'm going with it. But he asked me, he's like, why do you
even use the axe? You just walk around with it, right?
Yeah, you make it look awesome. But he asked me, he's like, why do you like that? Because I play tank. That means I'm the one that takes all the damage. And I said, I like the idea that if I want to go play the game in any way that I want, old content, new content, it might not die as fast, but I won't die. And I can play the content. There's nothing I can't do in the game. It just may take me a little bit longer. And I actually really, really like that concept of playing. And that's what I mean when I was, when we talk about PoE, like that just doesn't, it's a very difficult game to play that style. I'm not sure it's even.
It is. And that's the style that I've always wanted to try and play. And I've tried to manipulate the game to be able to accommodate that play style. Yeah. Because there are Path of Exile 1, there's certain glass cannons builds that you can make that'll obliterate things and you don't really need a lot of skill with it. But for the most part, like having pure damage is the only real way to play Path of Exile 1. Right. I mean, there's a few exceptions, of course, right? With
the difference knowledge base and stuff, but
right. But for the most part, Path of Exile's design, unfortunately, makes it a very damage first game.
It's fine. Ty's wife's on break right now.
She is. And it says last one. It's another Instagram link. Back to work. Remember this?
That's so good.
So I'll have to go back and
to check those
appreciate
later.
All of those.
I know that you are. because you get mad at me sometimes when I don't. But is she a reply to each message or just to write the message? Because I always just type my message. I never reply to the specific one.
She's good most of the time for letting me know which message she's responding to.
She's just used to you.
I'll ask 3 different questions to Justin over a period of whatever time frame, an hour or 2 hours, and Justin will reply with yes.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
It totally is.
That's not true. Yep. But I won't always hold down on the button to reply to that specific one. I'll just, in my head, I'm going like, I read the first one, I type my message, then I read the second one, I type my message.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm very thankful for it. So, but anyway, getting into Path of Exile 2, I do really hope that that's the case as well. And I'm sure that it will be. I'm sure that they are taking into consideration all of this. You cannot have 36 ascendancies and have them all be focused on offense. You just can't, right? Like, you need to be able to have a defense. If you cut out defense as a valid way, like as a primary way to play the game,
like a way that you can actually effectively, because it is a little weird. I'm on board with you 100%. I would love the idea of, like, I play Path of Exile fast, but I play Path of Exile fast because that's the way Path of Exile is designed to be played. In order to progress your character, you need to kill things quickly. I don't actually, to be honest, now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't know how you ever get away from that, because the fact is, if I need gear, I need to kill more things. Killing them slowly doesn't get me more things. I get the idea that you would want to be able to play it still though that way, but your drops are where you get your stuff, and to get your stuff and your things means more things need to die, which typically means you got to move faster or kill faster.
That mentality will always exist in an ARPG. That's nothing you can get away from. Anything that's loot based that drops from the enemies, that's just the way you got to go. So the only other way to get around that is to make the other playstyles tempting from a fun perspective. But you're never going to change the math of the more I kill, the faster I kill, the faster I get my upgrades. But if you give people the option to go like, I'm fine with the fact that I'm going to kill less, but this is fun for me, I think that would be awesome, because that doesn't exist in Path of Exile 1 right now. Right. Yeah. Or it is quite difficult too. There are some builds, right, that do quite well defensively, and it's fun because you don't die. And then with certain gear, you can start progressing offensively, which is nice. But yeah, like the majority of the cases, like you said, Path of Exile 1 is an offense first or offense only kind of game. And so, yeah, I mean, it'll be a challenge, but I think GGG has a good handle on how to make Path of Exile gameplay fun. And that'll be tempting enough, and that's really the only way it's to get people away from the faster looting experience, is make a different experience fun, because you can't change the math, right?
What did you do?
But that was part of
thinking?
Well, that was part of what my whole experience this week with Path of Exile was it's frustrating being so defense first. I'm kind of required to, with my reaction time and how the game functions. I need to be able to take, I don't have time to react to surprise damage and surprise very quick drops. I just need to be able to take damage. So I'm forced with my restrictions to play a defense first style, and a style where there's not a lot of aiming. There's obviously certain skills that I've fallen in love with and that I prefer from a personal standpoint. So it was just a frustrating, or I guess not frustrating, at some point it was, but it's like, how can I make this more offensive, but still be able to accommodate all the surprise crap that exists in the game? And with the skills that I like, they're not very offensively favored with GGG, right? Like, I like summon phantasms, I like zombies, I like the Reaper. Those are the skills that I've been really into recently. It just doesn't, like, no matter how I made some builds that were pure offense, no items still, right, but pure offense with all the investment still on the tree, even some jewels. Yep. And I'm doing the Reaper. All my skills are offensive, and I'm like, okay, the defense will come. Let's just try all this offense. It was still really weak. No matter all the offense I gave it with all the gems in the world, all this different setups, I tried so many different offensive things. It was still so weak. Like something where other skills, I could do a whole defensive setup, and that those other spells would do so much more damage than the Reaper would in its circumstantial situations. So, you know, I go through and I'm trying a whole bunch of different things, and I'm trying to make it more offensive while maintaining the defensive options. And I went through a whole bunch of different builds. It didn't work. I still ended up having I guess the thing about having a memory, I need to keep track, like make notes for myself as to why I'm doing the builds a certain way, because at the end of the day, the builds that I originally had accommodated all the troubleshooting that I had already done, but I only remembered that I'd already done this troubleshooting, a few months ago or a year ago, but I didn't write down why. I just remembered, oh yeah, when I had that oh yeah moment again. You know what I mean? But I was trying a whole bunch of different stuff. You gave me, now that you're quote unquote done with this league, you gave me a whole bunch of regrets so that I could play around with some of these ideas. Now block chance, it's quite easy to get 80%. Still requires a hefty investment on the tree, 20 plus nodes to get the 80% investment on the tree. Try doing it without bone armor, right? As the necromancer, try doing it with bone armor and a whole bunch of different ways. I played, I don't know, maybe 20 maps with the 80% block chance. I still don't like it. I know block chance is fantastic, and I can stand in the middle of a group of enemies and sometimes a whole map, no problem, and not even use my health flask. But then there's just a couple times where all of a sudden you're dead, right? Because that 80% still, like that 20% chance to get hit is still, that's a big number, right? Like if you were thinking about 80 to 20% in terms of accuracy, 80% is really low. Like that 20% will show up often when you're trying to hit an enemy.
1 in 5.
And you don't hit. Yeah, like that's a lot. And so
You're
when you think about it from
McDonald's right now, I feel like I'm eating French fries. That's where Tyler and I went this week. We hung out at McDonald's.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I know 80% is really high, but 20% is really big. And to put in 20 plus nodes into a defensive layer, not the defensive layer, but a defensive layer, and still need a lot of other more defensive layers to supplement that 20% chance to get hit. Like I know the game is defensively all about having multiple layers of defense. It's just, that's a big investment when you still need to worry about that's a lot of investment for having 20% of your hits not even catered to those 20 plus nodes. Like I would rather take those 20 plus nodes
that matter after that, right?
Well, right. But I would rather take those 20 nodes and apply that to the constant damage that I would be taking, that 20%. You know what I mean? And just worry about the recovery. And I feel like I survive way better with my play style, completely ignoring block chance. I just like that consistency, right? When I walk into a group and I see how my health is or isn't moving, right? My builds are always crit immune, so I never have to worry about suppression. They're always shock and crit immune. To me, those are always musts.
Have you played with suppression?
Game. No, I've never played.
It's frustrating to me, but it is the best feeling when you can get yourself to 100% suppression. Like the game just feels better for me on every single character I've played.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I can imagine it's just all the gear that I use armor ES bases for everything.
Yeah.
Right. And you need evasion for all that. I wouldn't mind if I was getting away from armor. I wouldn't mind dabbling into that. I love the prospect of the fugitive boots that I never use.
Yes, but yeah, your coloring would be a little bit tough probably for a lot of the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. Everything I use is blue and red. Everything. And it's heavy red, but it's like blue, and red. So it makes the filter really easy to filter out even more gear because it's just guaranteed. But yeah, no, I've never played with suppression. I understand its power. It's just I'm on the west side of the tree.
Even if I'm on whatever side of the tree, I'm like, how do I get
right, getting all those plus 30 nodes so you can get 100? Mm-hmm. Well, even then, though, with the new base types, that's one thing that I don't like about Path of Exile 1. Attributes to me aren't a fun part of the puzzle. For Path of Exile 1, sure. To me, they're a big nuisance. And one frustrating thing for me with the minion wands would be a good example is the convoking wand requires like 242
really high
int or something.
Yeah.
So I show the calling and convening ones because the implicit difference, the values of the implicit modifiers they're just what?
What just happened there?
My dog. I don't know if she was farting or burping, but it was something.
Okay.
I was just making sure she was still breathing.
Yeah.
But like the implicit difference between the calling, convening, and convoking are almost
not
nothing.
Big enough for. It's like almost 100 more int, isn't it? It's more than 100 int compared from.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, your calling wand, I think it's like 50 int. So I show all those minion ones no matter what. I'm not just.
There's no difference when they roll. If it's an item level, whatever, 85 or whatever, it makes no difference. You're just getting that slight difference in the implicit.
That's right. It's that 5 or 10% increased minion damage versus trying to get 100 extra.
Yeah, it needs to be way higher for that much int.
Easily,
way higher.
Yeah, it's definitely an oversight on their part for sure. So with the new base types that GGG came out with this league, it follows that same path, unfortunately. So your item level, like your paladin gloves or whatever they would be now for the armor and energy shield that I like, they require so much strength now. Right. So the pure strength and the pure dex additions that they added, they require so much strength or dex. And I don't like that aspect of PoE 1. PoE 1, what you get for that, unless you're doing like a strength or whatever.
I like that there's a requirement, but maybe they're just a bit too high. Because I do like the idea that you have strength to wear a heavy or a big piece of armor. That to me makes sense. But maybe it's a little bit high.
I think it needs to be rebalanced so that 155 is the cap, no matter what. Because then, like, if you're getting a pure strength gem.
But what's the cap on the gem? Is it 155?
Gems are 155.
Yeah, they should cap at whatever the gems cap at for sure.
Yep. And honestly, for a long time it was, but it's not anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's that kind of stuff is kind of frustrating to deal with when you're dealing with min-maxing that kind of stuff, right? Because yeah, sure, okay, now I'm adding suppression to the build. Yes, I get the value of suppression, but I don't want to minimize myself to the worst kinds of evasive gear that I have. I kind of feel like I'm obligated to be able to have that brand new pelt that requires 255 or dex and stuff.
I did not go that route.
So it's just one of those things. But I went through 1,000 different options. Most of it was focused on the Reaper, right? I redid all my builds for zombies and Righteous Fire as well. The zombie one didn't need any tweaking after I redid the build 100 times, but by the time I was finished redoing it, I loved exactly what I had posted originally at League launch. I made some changes to my RF build so that I could add 2 extra endurance charges to it naturally, which I liked. And I really liked the changes that I made on the tree. It just made the build better all in all, which was really nice. Just lost a tiny bit of area of effect, which you can't notice in gameplay. You can only notice on the grid in POB. But I spend a lot of time all over the map with my Reaper.
Did you play?
Yeah, I played lots too. And so part of the testing that I did with the regrets that you gave me to help out was I did the whole block, 80% chance to block with my Reaper, but I also did no minion life. I was looking at a lot of the builds with minions in general, not zombies, but like castable, like skeletons and Reaper, skills that you just cast quick. Summon Raging Spirits, no, because you don't get the full value unless you get that 20 out quite quickly, and that's not a playstyle that I'm looking for. It's still, despite the fact that it sounds similar, it's a very different playstyle than Skeletons or Reaper, where you can just cast once and run around for a bit. So I was looking at some PoE Ninja stuff and hardcore characters, hardcore solo self-found characters, and a lot of those characters don't invest in minion life at all. And I get it, right? You're looking at that extra 10 to 13 nodes that you can invest into yourself. Makes sense. No bosses that I've come across completely annihilate on a regular basis your minions without life investment. Sure, they might die once or twice, but then you just resummon them and life goes on and the damage continues. The situations that you can run into with no minion life are all during the mapping experience, whether they're from some frustratingly rolled bestiary beast or an essence mod or just some dumb rare combo with another rare, and then all of a sudden, like, you raise your skeletons and they're dead. Skeletons dead. Skeleton, and you can't even get up to your cap, you know what I mean, because they just keep dying.
I know there's a thing that a lot of them use that make it, I can't remember if it's a cluster jewel or something, where they get the first in the cluster jewel, the first 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's right. The first 4 seconds that you raise a minion,
it makes a big difference, especially with like skeletons uses and stuff.
All the time for sure. Skeletons, it would work very well as well. For the Reaper,
yeah, not so much
because the Reaper has that 4 second cooldown after you raise it. So you want it to live. And after that 4-second cooldown with the Reaper alive, then you get the opportunity to cast the ultimate skill, which is something you typically want to focus around. So it's not as intuitive there. It still probably would work.
It's so much better though on a constantly rezzing minion. Like I remember when I played Skeleton Mages, it was amazing. You could like a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
So I played around. I was testing both my comfort level with block chance again at 80% for both, and then having a Reaper with no minion life. And I enjoyed going around and trying out the pros and cons. Like I said, I did about 20 maps, and it was just a very frustrating experience for me because it reemphasized that I get the value of block chance. It's just not for me. I just don't like it. I don't like how I have to build my character to make it work. So that was nice. It was nice to check that box off. I feel like I gave it ample opportunity, and I put myself in a lot of variety in different situations, tested it out. I liked it. Just not for me. In terms of the minion life, that was very frustrating, even as someone who tries to make their builds for hardcore, because I would find that when I run into those situations where my minion is dying frequently and I'm having a difficult time keeping them up. That's part of the understanding of not investing in minion life, right? Or mitigation. You get that, right? There's going to be some situations where it's difficult to keep them up, right? But I was really vulnerable in those situations. Yes, I'm tanky, but there's nothing happening to the enemy, and they just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger, especially with the different mechanics that we have of spawning enemies with the league mechanic now. So and with how the necro works, you want to have 10 minions around you all the time, because that provides you that extra 10 physical damage mitigation. So to not have any investment in minion life, I found that I was not getting that 10 on a regular basis. I was at 1, 2, or 3. Skeletons would die quickly. I'm supplementing the Reaper with skeletons, and the phantasms and skeletons just could not stay alive. So I found that despite the fact that, yes, I could use those 13 nodes that I would use for minion life to invest in myself, I actually found myself much safer on a regular basis investing in the minion survivability, because that kept my damage consistent, and therefore the fights would last a lot, even though, yeah, my fights would last longer. Wait, well, how do you properly say that?
Quicker?
Yes, my fights would be quicker. My fights would be quicker because my minions stayed up, and my 10% physical damage mitigation was always up. I never had to worry about it. So there was a lot more consistency. And with that consistency, it provided me the comfort of knowing where my dangerous situations were in the mapping experience. So that also solved that issue for me. So then it just kind of came back to playing around with different aspects of, do I use Guardian's Blessing with a Reaper build? Where do I get my mitigation from? Do I want to taunt enemies? Do I want my Reaper to taunt? So it was fun going back through all of that. And I even went through a melee version where I would use 40% mana reservation to use auto exertion with General's Cry and Dominating Blow. So I'd have to have a melee weapon. So auto exertion makes it so that I don't get any buffs or charges from whatever war cry, but anything else that isn't a buff I get. Well, in General's Cry, it doesn't have any buffs. All it does is provide a certain amount of mirages based on your war power, right? Well, that's fine. Okay, so I'm getting the 5, and then I would use Dominating Blow with that. So that's kind of neat. I enjoyed that aspect, and I would have just naturally, so for 15%, I would just have those 9 dominating sentinels running around all the time. And the nice thing about that is that doesn't change the multiplier at all. If I wanted to make that a 6 link, it wouldn't change how much mana that reserves, right?
Did you say you tried this, or this is just thinking?
Yeah, I tried it, and I actually had a lot of fun with it. It's not optimal. It's not min-maxed, right? It doesn't make sense to do it, but I tried it just for fun. And so I was doing that, and I put minion damage on top of that. And then I also had Herald of Purity on there, right? Because now when my when my mirages are hitting an enemy, that procs the heralds, right? The sentinels from Herald of Purity. So that was really cool. Unfortunately, how Herald of Purity works, the more damage I add to that or the more supports, that increases the mana multiplier. But then I was able to put something like Maim and Feeding Frenzy on the Heralds, and the Heralds were guaranteed to be up. With the amount of times that the Warcry was hitting, it was all the time. The Heralds of Purity were always up. The Dominating Blow, they weren't up often in a boss fight, but they were always capped while mapping. But still, I was still getting the perks from hitting an enemy, which was really nice. So that was really cool, and that was a lot of fun to do. And so for 40% mana, I got a bunch of different bonus damage, along with my guaranteed physical damage mitigation. And because I kind of wanted to min-max the Herald of Purity bit, and the fact that I needed to use a melee weapon, what I did was I added Blade Storm and Cast on Crit to my Reaper. So it was my 6 link, but then it just basically made my Blade Storm and my Reaper both 4 links. And so because I was adding Rupture to the Reaper, I was already focusing on crit chance. And so I'm running around with Blade Storm, and I'm just holding down General's, or it's not General's Cry, Battle Mage for the crit chance. And then I would just hit Blade Storm all the time. And then I would crit. And then the Reaper would use its ultimate attack because it would automatically be used whenever I'd crit. And so it was fun to watch it go around, and it would automatically crit. And then I'm getting the increased damage with Spiritual Aid from my Herald of Purity. And it was fun to go around and do, but it was nowhere near as efficient. Like I would do way more damage just not using Herald of Purity, not using Dominating Blow. I still get all those perks for much cheaper gem wise. Add more defense with the amount of mana reservation that was already using, and then just self-casting the Reaper. But it was a lot of fun to try. So I ran around. I probably did maybe 10 maps with that, running around, just Blade Storm and Battle Mage Cry or whatever it is. And then just the Reapers summoned and cast on its own. The other minions are running around. It was fun. It was like a surprise party. Right? That's what I called it, Wrecker Surprise Party, because I would just walk up and it's just me. Whole bunch of enemies, right? But then I picture... Oh, what's that song called? I can't remember what the song.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Some epic songs show up, and then all of a sudden I start attacking, and then a Reaper shows up, and then 4 Sentinels show up, and then Dominating Blow shows up, and then 10 Phantasms, and all of a sudden there's like 30 enemies around them. But it was just me originally. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a great time this week, just messing around, having a great time, and
good.
That was that. The Rupture really is crazy to play with. Absolutely crazy to play with, but cool. Another day, another time.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, I rambled. Sorry, man.
No, I like hearing about it. It's cool. I'm glad you're trying new things. I wish more of them worked out all the time, but I guess that's part of Path of Exile.
I still really like the cast on crit version. I want to try and find a way to make it so that it actually does more damage than the self-casting version. I'm going to play around with it more.
Sweet. We're going to wrap this up. Don't forget, we've got our private league going on. If you want more information about that, hop on Discord and say hello, but you also find it on there. And let's wrap this up. 256 Forever Exiled and Justin AK Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else will see you next week in 257. If you're looking for more information, you'll find down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We have a very fun Discord. Pop in there and say hello. And patrons are the way to support the podcast. You will find them on all previously mentioned things. Bye.
Bye-bye.